this man, in the face of opposition that no politician I've ever seen, including from within his own tribe and family, he persisted in saying what he thought was true. And I've known this man for a while, and I've admired him for a long time. And what's amazing is to wake up in a country that in some ways is not getting better, but to wake up in a country that all of a sudden has stopped mocking this man as a crazy person, and has started to realize that the lone brave voice may have been right all along. And so it's an honor to introduce Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. We had this conversation last week that I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of people on camera, but the conversation that we had, or the things that you said to me last week, I will not forget. And it's, from an outsider's perspective, it seems like your public career is not only not ended in some way, it's beginning in a new way, in a really powerful way. And you described three issues that are central not just to your politics but to your life. And if I'm remembering correctly, I think they were slowing down the number of people who are killed abroad in wars, okay, with a lot of wars, opposing the pointless ones, protecting the natural environment that God created for us to enjoy, nature, and protecting the health of children. I think those are the three things you mentioned. I'm wondering if you could just expand on that.
I got into, my career most of it was spent in environmental protection. And I went to work in 1983 for a blue-collar coalition of commercial and recreational fishermen who mobilized to reclaim the Hudson River from its polluters. And they were people who were capitalists. They came from an industry that was 350 years old. It's the oldest commercial fishery in North America on the Hudson River. And they saw this industry destroyed, not because it had any intrinsic flaws, but because a large company, the General Electric Company, had been able to use its political clout to do something illegal, which was to dump its toxic PCBs into the Hudson River. And when I first started working on the Hudson, there were 2,500 families working on the river, enriching our culture, our palate, our economy, the life of the Hudson Valley, connecting us to our history, to our landscapes, to the waterways, and the 20,000 generations of human beings that were here before there were laptops. They were using the same fishing methods that were taught by the Algonquin Indians, the original Dutch settlers in New Amsterdam, and passed down through the generations. And all of a sudden, they couldn't fish anymore because there were plenty of fish in the Hudson. but they were loaded with toxic PCBs, and the state of New York said, you can't eat them. And they recognized that, these were capitalists, they were people, small business people, and they realized that government was in cahoots with the polluters, and that if they wanted to reclaim the river for themselves, they were going to have to do it themselves. They went to the government agencies, the Corps of Engineers, the Conservation Department, the Coast Guard, and they were given the bum's rush. They were told, these are important people. We can't force them to comply with the law. And they came to the conclusion the only way they were going to restore the river is if they confronted the polluters directly. They found an ancient navigational statute called the 1888 Rivers and Harbors Act that allowed people to prosecute polluters and then collect bounties. And they started suing polluters. They hired me as their attorney in 1984. We brought cases against over 500 successful cases on the Hudson. We forced polluters to spend about $5.5 billion remediating the river, and today the Hudson is the richest waterway in the North Atlantic.